Xbox has announced that it is dramatically raising the price of Game Pass Ultimate. And this is coming despite the fact that as recently as a few months ago, just a few months ago, they were bragging about how it's been the brag this entire time. This whole time, they've insisted that Game Pass is really profitable. It's why the Xbox brand has been surviving. It's working out really well for them, despite us all being like, how can it? You're giving away so many games. The whole entire model, obviously there are problems with it, especially from the developer and publisher perspective and all that stuff. It is weird. The whole subscription service thing is weird in its own way, but at least for Xbox, they insist that it is profitable. So recently, they said, yep, still makes like $5 billion in revenue every year. And despite that, they are raising the price of Ultimate, Game Pass Ultimate, by 50%. It's $30 now. $30 a month. And they're not just raising the price, they're also kind of shuffling around their they've always had multiple tiers, but now they've got even more tiers, and I really do think this always speaks to a very serious lack of confidence and overall success whenever a company has to just constantly be reinventing their services. It really kind of reveals that they don't really know what they're doing. And the most recent thing they've done is now Game Pass is split into 3 different tiers. 4 if you count on PC, but at least on console now, instead of 2 tiers, there are now 3 different tiers, which now have different names. Originally you had Xbox Game Pass Core, but now it's called Essential, and that gets you 50 plus games and online play and stuff. And that's $10 a month. So that price hasn't changed. And then there is Game Pass Premium, which has 200 plus games, and that is $15 a month. But then Game Pass Ultimate, the previous most popular choice, 400 plus games, is now $30 a month. And but they are adding Ubisoft Plus Classics and Fortnite Crew. So 2 other subscription services that you would have to pay for separately. They're now bundled right in, and that's what's funny is they try to justify these things, who is it? Dustin Blackwell, he did an interview with The Verge or something and says they're adding value to the service. It's like, oh, but if you get those 2 other things by themselves, those are like $30 a month. So that's why it's a good deal. He's not. I suppose he's not wrong. If you want to be signed up to both of those other services, then yeah, this is a fine deal. The problem is, if you don't play Fortnite, then now it's just not a good deal at all. And then Ubisoft Plus Classics, really? Say what you will about Ubisoft, they're plenty scummy, but they know the value of a good sale, and their old games go on sale for just peanuts all the time. There is no value in I don't know who would possibly pay for a classic Ubisoft game subscription service. They're all $5, just whatever. So those are the new tiers and prices, and yeah, it is frustrating, again, despite Game Pass already being very, very valuable. And then okay, things are hard right now. Prices are going up across the board. They also raised their console prices twice already in response to the tariffs. And when it comes to hardware, all right, tariffs, sure. You want to argue that? Whatever. I know it's a broader conversation. It's more complex than that, but whatever. Even if I want to just give you that, you can't argue that here. That doesn't work here. There's no tariffs on digital subscription services. Obviously this is just way too big of a thing to go into, but that whole idea oh yeah, but inflation and all this, and we got to keep our yeah, see, but that's the thing though, it's affecting you, it's affecting us too, man. You think things aren't hard for us? I'm sorry, you multi-billion-dollar corporation not making quite as much money because of inflation. Yeah, how do you think that affects us anyway? It used to be a lot easier to talk about video games without just the horrors of the world seeping into the conversation. Okay, just kind of okay. So, people are not taking the news very well. Naturally, apparently the Game Pass website crashed at some point because so many people were going on and trying to cancel their subscriptions. So that's kind of funny. I think the overall consensus seems to be that $30 for Game Pass Ultimate is simply too much. Even GameStop seems to agree. They said that they're still going to be selling Game Pass Ultimate for $20 for like the next month or something. How nice of them. Now here's the thing. I want to be completely fair here. You know, on the surface, especially like if you don't have an Xbox, you don't subscribe to any of this stuff, then yeah, like you see like, oh, it's going up by 50% and that's crazy and like that's terrible. You know, I want to be fair. It does in theory make sense to offer a lot of different tiers with a lot of you know, different value in each. And basically what they're doing here is I mean, it's true, they have technically added value to their highest tier. So they've increased the price there, but they've also added some value to the other tiers. And, you know, you can basically pick which one you want. If you want Ultimate, it truly is Ultimate. It comes with absolutely everything. And so naturally that is the absolute most expensive one there. And you know, it is hard that they keep raising the price because and this isn't like the first time they've raised the price. That's the thing. This isn't in a vacuum here. This isn't just them raising the price by 50%. This is them raising the price for like the millionth time. They just don't stop raising the price really regularly too. It's not like, oh, you know, once every 4 or 5 years we have to reconsider the economic situation. Like, no, like it keeps going up and up and up over and over and over again. And again, on top of raising prices of consoles and everything too. However, again, if you want to be fair, you could argue they have also increased the number of games on the service pretty dramatically since they introduced it. Like they really have. Like over the years, they have just kind of added, I mean, obviously some games leave too, but for the most part, they have added games. The number of total games on the service has only grown over the years. So you could argue that, yeah, that is adding value to the service, and maybe it sort of makes sense to start charging more for the upper tiers, yada. So like, yeah, on paper, it makes sense. And I guess I understand where Xbox is coming from. And on that note, even if you can say that Ultimate is now too much, the middle tier, Premium, that's still a pretty good deal. That's $15 and still has multiple hundreds of games on it. So you can probably still do pretty good with just the premium tier. Ultimate is the one that got increased the most, but like, I don't know, you get $15 is still okay. Like that's still fine. That's less than my stupid Netflix membership. You want to talk about someone who just won't stop raising the stupid price. I need to cancel that stupid thing. But even if it sort of makes sense, the problem here is that Microsoft is not seeing why Game Pass has been working so well. It's not really connecting in their heads why it has been so profitable. Game Pass's whole thing has been it's the best value in gaming. That's been its thing the entire time since the beginning. They introduced it in 2017. It's the best value in gaming. Everyone was baffled that it was such a good deal. They really were, and that was so strange. Coming from the game industry, they just get greedier and greedier all the time. Coming from Microsoft, it's Microsoft, but for some reason they're offering this like really surprisingly good deal. And the whole idea is that it was such a good deal. It's something that people could just kind of subscribe to, like just kind of be subscribed to, you know, all the time. You just kind of have it on there, you know, like if you play games really regularly, then yeah, you just have it every month and you just play whatever games are on. There's plenty to choose from. You know, when I first got my Series X, I had Game Pass for a little while because it's just like there's so many games. The games on my to play list, you know, it's huge. It really is a ton. It's a lot of really good games too. It's not just a bunch of like throwaway junk. It's a pretty decent curated library. I was never at the point where I could just casually have it on all the time because, I just don't play enough games and I'm very cheap. But that's the idea. A lot of people were just subscribed all the time, and that's why it's made so much revenue. But if you push too hard, you throw off that balance. Like, they're basically killing their golden goose here. You know what I mean? It's not, you push it too far and it just stops working. These kinds of services, it's a psychological game more than anything. I don't know if that's weird to say, but like it really is. You have to maintain this equilibrium, this balance with the customer where they feel like it's a good enough deal to just do it. Like, just whatever. You don't have to worry about buying games or subscribing and unsubscribing. Just you gotta lull us into a place of comfort where we can just incur that monthly charge and be fine with it. You throw off the balance, you get enough people to just stop seeing the value in it, and especially with all of the economic pressures and everything, you're gonna start seeing a lot of people unsubscribing. $30 is not a casual expense anymore. It's just not, 10, 15, fine. 20, ooh, you're kind of pushing it, but like 30, it's just too much. That's not casual. That's, all subscription services are becoming like too much. And of course there are too many of them, but like that's a lot. That's not casual whatsoever. You could still argue that if you are very strategic about it, you could still get good value out of it. Absolutely. Because that is a tremendous amount of games. I mean, $30 is like one game. It's like one or two games or two little indie games or something. So like obviously still there is value there. But the problem is that now to get that value, you gotta like try. You gotta like really be on it and make sure that you're getting the most out of your subscription. And like premium, again, is probably still a decent deal. But for a lot of people, the whole point of this, or at least a really big selling point, has been playing new games, brand new games on day one. That's really been a big thing for them. All their Xbox Studios games, day one, you can play them on Game Pass. And you don't get that with premium. You get them within a year or something. Okay, fine, you get them eventually, but like a lot of people want to play day one. And you can still strategically use Game Pass Ultimate to play them day one if you want to subscribe and unsubscribe. Oh, well, this game that I care about is coming out, so I'll pay $30, and as long as I play the game within the month, which is sort of reasonable, you could, like I pay to play the game within that month, and then I cancel it. But like, okay, then you're on a time limit. You got to pay it within that. You got to play the entire thing within that month. And then you got to make sure you unsubscribe before you get charged again, because if you do get charged again, then the whole thing is gone. It's asking too much now. People don't want to be managing their experience like this. Again, the casual nature of it has gone out the window. And then, even if you are being like really like, you're really on it, $30 is like almost half the price of a brand new game. You're basically paying to rent it, but you're paying so much to rent it that you're like, well, I might as well just wait a while and it'll be on sale and I can get it for not much more than that. Like that's so much of the price of a game that now you're just seeing that money get flushed down the toilet. And like, we know they're gonna raise the price again. We know they're just gonna raise it again. They're just gonna keep raising it over and over and over again. It's just so even if you can argue that something in here is still an okay deal, it gets less good all the time, less and less good, harder and harder to justify, harder and harder to just casually do it. They are basically just destroying this beautiful opportunity they had, this beautiful reputation. When is any product or service seen as just a great deal? The best deal? It's mind-blowing, and it's a golden goose, and they're killing it. They're killing it to have a good meal right now. They're not seeing the big picture, but big corporation chasing short-term profits at the expense of long-term. That's a surprise. That's what? Why would they do that? No one's ever done that before anyway. Hard to even joke about it at this point. So yeah, and I while we're talking about it, I guess I've commented on Ultimate and Premium. Might as well look at the Essential. $10 a month is very cheap, and it does pay for multiplayer as well. 50 plus games. Again, you could argue, okay, well maybe that's cheap enough to just have on all the time, $10. But like, the smaller the pool of games, the less likely you are to find a bunch that you want to play. Like out of 50 games, now it's few enough games that you can just kind of like scroll through the list and be like, nah, none of that's for me. It's not such an overwhelming amount that you can be like, wow, look at all this stuff to play. In theory, $10 a month is cheap enough to just pay for casually all the time, but not for 50 games. There's not, yeah. Again, it's an equilibrium thing. They're throwing it off. But yeah, that's that. Xbox, Xbox. What are you gonna do?